Welcome back, guys. Today we are going to talk about dplyr, and I'm John Kamau. I'm from the Data Nerd. This channel will be discussing about data-related issues, and more specifically, we'll focus first on R, then we'll move on to Python and any other thing that we might find interesting. So last time we discussed about how to set up your project in R, and we also sent this data to GitHub. Today we'll just go through uh, one of the popular libraries in R. It's called dplyr. If you want to manipulate data in R, it's one of the go-to library. I've already set up the data for us. It's based on what we had last time when we were setting up the project. This is the iris dataset. The iris dataset consists of four things. It describes three types of flowers. There is the iris setosa, the virginica, and the versicolor. Each of these flowers, we are given their sepal length in centimeters, their sepal width in centimeters, petal length in centimeters, and petal width in centimeters. I've already imported the libraries. We have the readr for reading the Excel. We have the nita for representing the tables in a clear format. We have the tidyverse, which contains now the dplyr that we're going to use. And the data is in CSV format, so it's already read in this. Let us run that. So it's done. This is what we have. From here on the right, you can see that the iris data set has got 150 observations. So for the iris setosa and for the virginica and for the versicolor, we have 50 of each. So it's a very well balanced data. And we can start. So we are going to look at dplyr. These are the few things we are going to look. The head, which is not part of the dplyr, is just a good way of printing out 50, 50, 10, 15, any number of rows you want. The default is 5 rows. We have the sort, which arranges the data by a specific variable. We have the filter, which splits the data by some condition. Select is just to pick some columns. Group by will split the data into groups, and then it's going to, for each group, it's going to summarize using a function that we are going to define, could be the mean, the count, and so on. The summarize now is that part of group by where you summarize those groups that have been identified. So we'll just dive right in. When you have the data, I'm calling it the iris. This is the pipe. In dplyr, we have a pipe. You just write percentage sign. This is the greater than, and then the percentage sign. That's the pipe. And then you write the head, and you can specify 3. When you do that, you get the top 3 rows. Of course, the 3 is a variable, so you can feel free to change it as you see fit. I'll save this here so that now it's clear that this is part of the head. So we've been able to see 3 rows. Now we can go straight into filter. So how I normally do it is just I write iris, I pipe it to head first. The head enables me to see what kind of variables I actually have. And now I can hash the head because I've already seen what I needed to see. And now I'm able to say I want to arrange this data by, let's say, the sepal length in centimeters. So we would write not sort. The sort is what we are going to do, but arrange is what the command is. And here we arrange by the sepal length. This is the sepal length. And you can see that the data has already been arranged. So there is 4.3, 4.4, and so on. So it's been arranged in an ascending manner. You can be able to specify you want it in a descending manner. So you just write DESC and you get the data in a descending. Now you start from the largest to the smallest. We've arranged the data. Now we can try and filter. And one of the filter that we're going to use this categorical column called the species. And we just, again, iris, we pipe this and we pipe it to filter. That's what we do. And we want to filter by species, and you can just copy one of these categories. And what you're saying is that species, which is the column, is equals to the iris, and you put a double equal sign, which means equivalent. So we'll find that we have 50 rows now from 150. So it has only selected the species which are equal to Iris virginica. And we can now move on to select. In terms of select, our interest is selecting one. Let's just select two columns. So here we write Iris and we pipe it to select. We can write the name of these columns. Of course, there are other ways you can use a select. You can even use an index. You can use a list of things. You can use a vector. So it's all up to you, but this is the best way. You just put them there. And you see we find we're able to just extract two of the columns. Of course, you can add more or you can remove. Now, one of the key things in group by, I know I'm moving very fast, but I wanted to keep this video very short because these are basic functions, and key thing is just to understand that they exist, to understand how they work in overall, and then you can be able to do your research on them and also to do a project. So we'll take the iris data and we'll group by. Grouping by, like we said, is splitting the data into groups. So if we say we want to group by species, at the back of our mind, we know that the data is being split into a group for each category of the species. Even before I run this, we can just say table. The table will split the data for us, and then we'll be able to see the categories. This dollar sign is saying that I want from the iris dataset, I want to extract the species column. And the table is telling us that the iris setosa are 50, iris versicolor are 50, iris virginica are 50. So that's the same thing we need from we need to replicate this from the group by. So what we are going to do is to write the iris, and then we are going to pipe this. We are going to pipe it to tally. What tally does, it gets us the count. So it's going to tell us that the iris setosa are 50, iris versicolor are 50, iris virginica are 50. That's one way of doing it. We can do a different way. For example, let's say we want to know on average which flowers have the largest sepal length. So we can paste that, and then once we group by, we can summarize now. In summarize, you specify the function you want to use. In this case, we want to call a new column called average. It should be equal to the mean, and the mean should be of the sepal. So we give it one of the column names. Let's say sepal length in centimeters. We can run that, and we can see that iris virginica has the largest sepal length in centimeters. This is the average. So on average, iris virginica has the largest. Yeah. So we are done with that. Finally, we can, we've already summarized. I think what we can do, we can also add mutate. Mutate is a very important function. So what it does, it just creates a new column based on what we want. For example, let's say we want iris and we want to mutate. That means we're going to create a new column. The new column, we'll call it, we can just call it sepal, whatever that means, equals to sepal length divided by sepal width. So it doesn't have any meaning. Ideally, in a real life situation, it would be something meaningful. But now you can see that we've created an average, like index that takes the sepal length and the sepal width and is able to give us that. So I think we'll stop there for now. These are the main usage of dplyr. With these few functions, you can be able to create quite a very detailed analysis. Next time we should discuss more on visualization using ggplot, and then I'll try and bring the 3 lessons that we'll have gone through together. That is, we create a new project, we do a dplyr, then we pipe that into a visualization in ggplot, and then once we have all that, now you're able to see how you can create a report from data to the visualization, and then from there we can move on to something else. Thank you. Please subscribe and hit the bell on the channel, and I'll really appreciate that. Thank you.